Donald Trump speaking live in Plattsburgh, New York. He's been speaking about 25 minutes and hitting some of the key points that he hit earlier this week in another speech in upstate New York, talking about immigration, talking about the wall, and really talking to the New York voters about the fact that manufacturing jobs have been lost since the end of the 1960s and even the 90s here in the state. Also making, of course, another hit at Ted Cruz and talking about the fact that Ted Cruz attacked New York values. Excuse me. Remember, that was the Fox Business debate where that was brought up with Maria Bartiromo and Neil Cavuto, and then also saying, and I thought this was interesting, saying, quote, "We're going to close it out before the convention," end quote. I want to bring in our political panel to kind of get some reaction to what we've just heard from Mr. Trump. Brian Morgenstern from the New York Young Republicans Club, he's a board member there. He's with me on set. He's been listening to Mr. Trump. Jessica Ehrlich, a Democratic strategist, Kelly Riddell, deputy opinion editor at the Washington Times, have been listening as well. Brian, you and I have been listening to Mr. Trump here on set, and he seems to be really connecting again with that small-town American who has seen their jobs go to Mexico, who has seen their way of life maybe take a little bit of a hit. Maybe this is why he's resonating here in New York and across the country.
Well, it's consistent with what we've seen in other states. I mean, New York is obviously a very large place, and that upstate area where he is similar to a Rust Belt state. It has very little similarity to New York City, where we're sitting right now. And so that's not a surprise that those same themes that carried him to victory in prior states will do so in the upstate area, where there was a nominee for governor, Carl Palladino, now a chairman of Mr. Trump's campaign. Very similar sort of personality and MO, wound up taking the nomination for governor with similar themes. And so we're seeing what has played out in the past is playing out now for Trump in upstate New York.
Are you supporting, I know that at one point you were supporting Marco Rubio. Have you decided who you're going to support now?
I have not, actually. I find myself in the very strange situation, along with many of my cohorts, that the New York primary matters for the first time in our voting life, and many of us are undecided voters because we started this cycle supporting maybe other candidates like Rubio or Jeb Bush or Scott Walker, and now we're looking at the three that are left very carefully, and we're behaving like people who live in New Hampshire.
The young Republicans, you're the future of the party. Kelly, I want to bring you into this because, again, he brought up the issues in particular with Colorado once again, and talking about the primary process there, and the crowd really responded, Kelly. They seem to be on his side, that it was, quote unquote, he said it again, rigged. It was rigged in Colorado. Your response?
I mean, his supporters are people who want to burn down the political establishment, so this message is right up their lane. What I was really impressed by with this speech is the fact that it was so focused. A lot of his earlier rallies have gone all over the place, and he really stuck to the points of emphasizing what New York values were, hitting on the key points that a lot of manufacturing jobs have left upstate New York, and a lot of the areas in upstate New York are economically depressed.
Yeah.
As well as touting his own business acumen and record and how that applies to being a commander-in-chief. So I think that you're seeing a more disciplined Donald Trump moving into the later stages of this campaign season.
And really, I think, staying on point. He reiterated, Jessica, a lot of the things that he said on Tuesday in another speech in upstate New York, kind of hitting the thing about manufacturing. But I want to go back to that rigged system. For the first time, we heard it really strongly from him. He's been hitting that theme, Jessica, over and over. It's a rigged system. It's a rigged system. They're buying it. Are you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with, really, because there are these pretty arcane rules. They've changed them multiple times. They could change them again before the convention. So, you know, that's a great argument for him to make. I think it certainly resonates with voters. And, you know, the fact remains, though, it is the way it is, and he, of all people, knows that. You know, so it's going to continue to impress the people who are already on his side. Whether it buys him new voters, that, I think, is really the question.
All right. Well, Jessica Ehrlich, Kelly Riddell, Brian Morgenstern, I want to thank you all for staying with us as we listen to that live rally in Plattsburgh, New York, with Donald Trump. He's just wrapping that rally up, and he's now on his way to Hartford.